Mr. Booth, before you start, of course, firstly, thank you so very much for your time. And are you all nervous, Mr. Booth? Are you all excited for the question?
I am very excited. Hit me with it.
Great. So before you start, there's a small question we've been wanting to ask you, right? Your bio reads that you are a technology enthusiast, advisor, but the most interesting part for us was that you are an investor slash adventure seeker. Investor slash adventure seeker is a very adventurous, a very interesting line. So if you could just elaborate more on what is it that you were trying to say?
Okay. So nice long little thing there in my LinkedIn. So from an investor perspective, I have invested in a few small startups here in the APJ region as well as other areas. And from the adventure seeking perspective, I guess I will try anything once. And most of the time, it's been a wonderful experience. There have been a few times where I've like said, "Oh my God, what the heck did I do?" But that's pretty much what it meant.
Fantastic, Mr. Booth. I strongly believe that searching for an investor is adventurous enough. So I understand where is it that you were heading with that line. Fantastic, Mr. Booth. Stage is all yours. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, thank you so very much. And I'd like to thank everyone for welcoming me to this event here. And a little background on myself. Demetris Booth, Director of Product Marketing with Cato Networks. And I live here in Singapore. And before I get started, I want to explain just a little bit what SASE or Secure Access Service Edge is. It is basically the convergence of networking, security, and access into a single converged platform that streamlines the efficiency of networking security across the wide area network and across the cloud as a whole. And with this session here, Accelerating the Future Manufacturing, I'm going to show you how SASE can be used as a platform or an enabler of the future manufacturing. Because as we know, manufacturing, just like everyone else, is participating in this digital transformation revolution. And we see it everywhere, from factory automation to motion control, predictive analytics, and the uses go on and on. And we've seen this in several of the presentations throughout the day as well. So what I'm hoping to impart upon you today is just different ways that SASE can be used to accelerate manufacturing. So one of the things that we do know is that many of you are driven to try to improve your overall operations. And you're doing this a number of ways. Basically, you're just trying to enable the operations in your workforce with more digital and data-driven tools. And as we see here in this slide, there are numerous links in this overall chain that each one of them needs to take into consideration, or I should say, they need to be factored in order for you to achieve your goals and reach your ambitions. Now, the breakdown in any one of these links here, it doesn't necessarily mean the death sentence of the operation, but it can definitely impact the outcomes that manufacturers are trying to achieve with their ambitious goals. And I really shouldn't say ambitious, these are normal goals. But I will say there are three things that could potentially derail this effort. Now, cybersecurity is something that all industries deal with, whether it's manufacturing, healthcare, you name it, everyone is dealing with it. Now, what we have witnessed over the last few years, specifically with COVID, is that the number of global companies that have been subjected to cyber attacks has increased dramatically. And many of them being attacked on a daily basis, with a lot of their information being compromised and stolen and released publicly. And manufacturers are just as susceptible to this, if not more so, because of the nature of their systems. For example, there have been a couple of attacks in the last few years. Norsk Hydro was one. It's a company of about 35,000 employees in about 40 countries that were impacted with those cyber attacks. Excuse me. And then last year, there was a major candy manufacturer in the United States that was impacted with a cyber attack as well. Now, there are a couple factors that makes manufacturing an ideal target for a lot of cyber criminals. The first one you might call the perfect storm of digitization, which is driving a lot of organizations to try to connect their factory operations to their enterprise networks. And at the same time, they're relying on legacy industrial automation control systems that were never designed for security and never designed for IP network. So that's one area. Another factor that is a challenge from a security perspective is, let's be honest, manufacturing industry has never really been subject to the regulatory compliance requirements that will say healthcare or financial services has been. So there is a lack of readiness right now from the cybersecurity perspective. And then if we look at the poor cloud performance, many manufacturers for their connectivity, they use MPLS. And MPLS is not suited for cloud networking. It doesn't have the scalability, doesn't have the flexibility for cloud. So right now, that is a challenge for many manufacturers. To overcome this, some are deploying what we call SD-WAN or software-defined WAN as a technology for this to get them access to cloud. SD-WAN also has its limitations from a distance perspective. There are regional use cases where SD-WAN is suitable, but not necessarily for a global use case, which is what most manufacturers, or almost all manufacturers, really demand. And then the expensive connectivity. Just like many other industries, many other organizations, manufacturing is expanding. You're opening new offices everywhere, and you're going to need connectivity. And having to set up another MPLS connection is going to be cost prohibitive, to be quite honest. So there are, again, the SD-WAN or just straight to internet options, but these also come with their limitations, not being able to completely optimize cloud traffic and not being able to do it globally and not being able to provide the necessary performance that is required. So these three factors here are the big ones. There are other factors that could get in the way of derailing and derail the future of manufacturing, but these are the three biggest ones that manufacturers need to take into consideration. So as you look at this, as you look at all the connections here, just imagine the smooth delivery, the timely delivery of data and insights from the cloud to the manufacturing floor, from the cloud to the marketing team, to the global engineering team and the product teams, delivering this in a secure, optimized, and scalable fashion. Now, this is what I'd like to call the nirvana of manufacturing. To achieve this, however, we need a globally connected network with resiliency to recover from outages, which do happen. We can't get away from that. The performance to ensure that data and insights is being accelerated and optimized. Then also the security to protect the most lethal cyber threats. So if we had to get the perfect scenario for this, we would have to call this scenario the SASE cloud. And this is where a company like Cato comes into play. And in order to provide the capability of securely accelerating traffic for manufacturing, you have to take a look at how Cato is architected. First and foremost, we have a global private backbone. So what this means is the transport worldwide, we own it. So only Cato customer traffic will flow across this. The benefit here is we have the ability to optimize and accelerate and secure the traffic and ensure, sorry, I lost audio for a second, and ensure performance from endpoint to endpoint, from the user to the application. Built on this global private backbone is a cloud-native architecture of cloud POPs, where all of the software is developed and converged. And we have a convergence of network and security and access management that is a single software stack, and everything operates or executes in a simultaneous fashion. So what this means is networking, we can provide cloud and WAN optimization, dynamic routing that ensures that all the traffic that is going from your factory floor or in the engineering teams going into your cloud instance or to different office locations around the globe, that we are giving it the most optimal traffic and most optimal path to the destination. And because of how we're architected, we're basically dropping that traffic off right at the doorstep of where it needs to go, eliminating the need to go use the public internet, which is notoriously inconsistent. Additionally, we have built-in security as well. So it's simultaneously, we are optimizing the traffic and we are securing the traffic to ensure that all your traffic is safe from prying eyes of cyber criminals that are out there, to prevent the candy manufacturer attack and all other attack on manufacturing systems. We provide the access to our Cato POP via what we like to call SD-WAN sockets. And these are just thin edge devices that auto connect to the Cato POP. And once you're in the Cato POP network, all your traffic is secure, all your traffic is optimized, and all the access to your services are consistent and provided. Now, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of manufacturers still use MPLS, and MPLS for many serves a very good purpose for point-to-point connectivity. Because of how we're architected, we're able to allow MPLS connections to run in parallel with the Cato connections. So if a manufacturer still wants to maintain, let's say, a MPLS connection from, we'll just say Vietnam to China, and keep that on MPLS, that's fine. They can consistently do that. And the rest of their operations on the Cato SASE cloud. So we can do that dynamic route selection to enable you to choose which path the traffic is going to take. And like many of the manufacturers, you do have individuals who work from home, travel, as well as you do have contractors and supply chain partners that occasionally need access to your systems for understanding your supply levels and so forth. We provide a SDP client, which is both what we call client and clientless. So a little piece of software that's on your mobile device or connecting it to via a mobile browser into the SASE cloud as well. Very easy, and get the exact same security, the exact same networking optimization, and the same cloud optimization across the Cato backbone, even for remote users. So what this does, it gives you complete access to all of your cloud resources, all of the cloud applications that any organization would ever be using, whether they're third-party SaaS apps or they're apps that have been migrated from your enterprise, from your manufacturer data center, all the way out into the cloud. So if we were to overlay this view here, oh, left one more, then single management interface as well. One of the challenges with a lot of organizations having too many networking and security management tools to rifle through. We actually collapse that into a single for management. Okay, sorry about that. I lost my audio for a second again. So if we wanted to overlay this architecture onto onto a manufacturer system, this is what it would actually look like. So you would have the Cato network with our network of Cato POPs around the globe, access to third-party SaaS applications, typical applications that are used by manufacturers, ThinkWorks, Plex, FactoryTalk, etc. And then no matter where your operations may be, just say you have a manufacturing team that is in Malaysia, your product engineering team may be in Lithuania, then you may have supply chain partners in China. Each one of them, once they connect into the Cato SASE cloud, will have the same level of security, the same level of optimization, and the same level of access based upon their identity. And this is key because their identity determines as much of the access to various SaaS applications that they are allowed. But this is how the Cato SASE cloud is able to accelerate that the architecture for the future of manufacturing. So if we were to look at some of the challenges that exist today in manufacturing, you have the poor connectivity and the rigidity of MPLS. You also have the challenging connecting new branches and integrating new acquisitions into your networks. This is where Cato SASE Cloud is able to provide that global connectivity to overcome the poor performance that you get right now with MPLS and provide those performance guarantees and the scalability. This is where easily and simply adding new locations to your network is straightforward and simple. We have that little socket device. It's just no touch, plug it into the network. It auto connects into the Cato cloud, and then you're done. So very simple, very easy, and you have that global connectivity. We'll look from an optimization perspective. App performance is greatly diminished in a lot of cases after cloud deployments. A lot of organizations experience this, and also ensuring and maintaining compliance of various SaaS applications that you are using. With the Cato SASE Cloud, you have the cloud acceleration and optimization, and then you have the unified native cloud native security that is securing the applications and Caspian DLP that is securing the cloud apps themselves, as well as ensuring secure usage of your applications, and that's really key. And then reducing cyber threats, okay? Cyber threats are always going to be the thing that kills every organization, whether manufacturing, healthcare, you name it. And there's always a challenge with managing the increasing cyber threats with a rapid response to these threats, as well as maintaining consistent policies once you start moving your operations to cloud. Cato is able to assist with this by providing more holistic security posture in the cloud and providing that managed detection services, also allowing for the authentication and authorization and policy enforcement to be at the edge of the cloud and providing zero trust network access. So we talk about zero trust network access, only the applications, only the services that you by your identity are allowed to touch or see or do anything in are only the applications you will actually see and have access to. So when we look at connecting the future of manufacturing with SASE, at Cato, we like to keep it simple, very simple. And we do that by what I like to call the power of one. That is one network to connect all of the endpoints, whether it's from your manufacturing floor, your branch operations, your cloud, or your remote users, or your third-party SaaS application. End-to-end connectivity, end-to-end optimizations, regardless of where they are. Then you have the security. We provide inspection on all traffic, providing full security and enabling you to increase your security posture as safely and optimized as possible. And then finally, the policy perspective, flexible management policies, including self-service and so forth. So we designed this where if you want to manage it yourself, you very easily can. If you would like to have Cato manage it or do a co-management, it can be easy. So it's very simple, very straightforward, and very flexible all. So you have the secure optimization and simplicity to help connect that manufacturing. So if you look at what a true SASE by Cato delivers, the performance guaranteed with global connectivity, which is a challenge for many manufacturers today. The optimized cloud access, which gives you that accelerated access to all of your cloud resources, whether they're with your public cloud instance in the AWS or Azure or third-party SaaS applications. And finally, holistic cyber threat protection to protect you from all the most dangerous, the most lethal cyber threats that you will face in the industry today. Pulling all this together, this is how Cato SASE is providing the necessary tools to accelerate that journey to the manufacturing of the future. And this is how we're able to provide all those tools needed. And at this point, I would like to thank everyone for your attention. And if there are any questions, I will answer the questions now.